How many of you grew up like I did, not rich? We weren't poor, we just weren't rich. I remember about 12 years old, I wanted to ride my bicycle about a mile down the road to the local Quick Sack. And I was going to go down there and get me an icy. Y'all got ices here? And I came in and asked my dad, I said, Dad, I need some money to go to the Quick Sack. And my dad said, how old are you? I said, well, I'm your son. I'm 12. And he said, you're 12 years old. You don't need money. You need a job. Y'all know the kind of dad I'm talking about. Some of you had one like that. My dad didn't think that work was a management theory. It was something you did. It was an activity. And so he said, you need to get some money. Where are you going to get some money? And I said, well, some of my buddies are cutting grass. I guess I could cut grass. So he took me, true story, down on Nolensville Road. I grew up in Antioch, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. Took me down the main drag there in Nashville, Tennessee. Took me to a print shop and printed up 500 business cards, said Dave's Lawns. I said, Dad, this is a little overkill. I just wanted an icy. Came home and he said, you go knock on the closest 50 doors here in the neighborhood and you ask those people with enthusiasm if you can have the opportunity to provide their lawn care needs. Don't you knock on the door and say, you don't want me to cut your grass, do you? So he taught me marketing. We had junior achievement. Junior best be achieving something. So I did. I went and knocked on the closest 50 doors and it worked. Got 27 yards to cut. I was 12 years old. This is child abuse. I mean, 19 of them were right in a row. I just went down the street like this. Made me keep a profit and loss statement on my business. My income minus his lawnmowers I tore up equals net profit. Yeah, I found out the difference in gross and net pretty quick. It's good to work. Work is a good thing. Proud of my dad for teaching that mean little bald-headed kid that stuff. I graduated from high school. I'm 18 years old. 3 weeks later, passed my real estate license. Started selling real estate. Took off to college and went through college in 4 years, which is what you do if you're paying for it. You don't hang out, you know. It's like every time I stay here longer, it costs more. I figured this out, you know. And so I was working my tail off, getting all the way through college, and I met my beautiful wife, Sharon, and we got married, and we graduated, and we started off our lives broke. How many of y'all remember when you started broke, right? Oh, man, we ain't got money, honey, but we got love. It's a good thing, too, because we ain't got no money. I mean, it was bad. We were eating off a card table. She was driving a 1902 Pinto. Came out of college, and I went through a couple jobs, and I started buying and selling real estate. I grew up in the real estate business. Mom and Dad were in the real estate business, and I was good at it. And starting from nothing, by the time I was 26 years old, I had about $4 million worth of real estate. A little over $1 million net worth. In my best year ever in that business, I made $250,000 cash taxable income one year. That's $20,000 a month. I don't know where you grew up, the neighborhood I grew up in, that's known as rich. I was having so much fun. And here's what's weird. I do everything backwards, y'all. 26 years old, our bank that we owed $1,200,000 to got sold to another bank. I know that never happens in your town. And they looked down, they said, a kid 26 years old owes us over $1 million. Let's limit this relationship, which is banker talk for ruin his life. And they called our notes. I had 6 months to come up with over $1 million. And the second largest lender, another bank, $800,000 owed to them, heard I was in trouble because I was in trouble. And it gets out in the town, doesn't it? They're not supposed to talk about it, but they do. And they called another $800,000. Said $2 million due. It's all tied up in real estate. And we spent the next 2.5 years of our life losing everything we owned. We were foreclosed on. We were sued. We were sued so many times, the guy with the sheriff's department that brings the little lawsuit papers, we're like on a first name basis with him. Sharon's making him cookies. And finally, with a brand new baby and a toddler, we hit bottom and we were bankrupt. I didn't know what to do. I was 28 years old. My marriage is hanging on by a thread. Pain is not my preferred method of learning, but it is a thorough teacher. And finally, we were bankrupt. Brand new baby. I remember standing in the shower with it as hot as I could stand it in my face and just stand there and cry because I was so scared. And there was nobody to talk to because I was so ashamed to tell anybody what I had done because everybody else has got their act together, right? At least that's what we think until you find out what's really going on behind closed doors. Now, I've got a finance degree, okay? I've got letters and licenses after my name, you know? And I still did stupid with zeros on the end. And so I found out the Bible has financial principles in it. And I thought, that's pretty cool. If I'm going to be like a Jesus guy, I ought to know what Jesus says. I better read this stuff. And I started reading in it, and I went, oh, I didn't do that right. Ooh, that left a mark. Ooh, ow. Hey, I did that one right. Ooh, my finance teacher actually agrees with that one. Nobody agrees with that one. Have you ever done that? Because I started figuring out this is a love letter to me from my father who's crazy about me. And once I figured that out, it's my marriage manual. It's how we're married. And so I found all those places where she has to do what I say. And then she found those places that she doesn't. And we started handling our money this way. And I got to tell y'all something. It worked. It turns out this is the truth. And to the extent this doesn't line up with your feelings, get over yourself. You're wrong. To the extent your broke friend doesn't like your biblical financial principle, well, if broke people are making fun of your financial plan, you're on track. It's like fat people making fun of your diet, okay? Think about this. Unbelievable. So I started finding these things, and there's a lot. I mean, there's like 2,500 scriptures that deal with money and possessions. Our proper view of them, the proper spiritual indication, and the tactical, actual thing you do with money that God says. It was amazing. And it gave a guy who was in a puddle hope, because I didn't have any. I mean, I was on one of these, I do all these TV shows on Fox and CNN, Good Morning America and CBS and all these people, and they were real sweet people and all that. And one of those anchors, I was on there doing a thing with one of my books one time, and they said, okay, this is amazing. You started with nothing, you became a millionaire, you lost everything, and now you're a multimillionaire. How did you bounce back? I said, dude, when you fall that far, you really don't bounce. It's more of a splat. And so I was splatted, man. And we took these principles and everything I could learn about them and understand them from an academic viewpoint, a spiritual viewpoint, historical viewpoint, a socio-economic viewpoint, a psychological viewpoint, an emotional viewpoint, a relational viewpoint, and I started to really understand how money works. Not what your broke brother-in-law's theory is. Because everybody's got an opinion in America today. Thank you, Internet. Everybody's important now. Everybody's opinion matters now. Sorry, but it doesn't. So we started applying these principles to our lives, and it changed our lives. And you know what happens when your life gets changed? People ask you a question. I have a good friend of mine. I was with him last night. In the last year, he has lost 56 pounds. Everyone's sitting around the table talking to him, a bunch of guys sitting out there. You know what we ask him? We ask him, how did you do that? When you see someone's life gets changed, you always say their marriage gets saved, their children get turned around, their finances get turned around, their career goes on a trajectory that's unexplainable, and you always say, how did you do that? When people start asking me, I start telling them, if you've made mistakes with money, you know what that makes you? Over 12. Every one of you have, probably this week. And so have I, and I teach this for a living, and everyone listens to me. But I make fewer mistakes now than I used to make, because I found God's word and I applied these devastatingly simple but profound concepts to my life and to my money. Now, there's a lot of stuff we could talk about, but we don't have time. But I can boil it down to 5 things. And the devil hates it when you take notes. So get your pen. 5 things. 5 things. If you do these 5 things that the Bible says with money, while earning an income, you do them over and over and over, and all that they imply over a period of 15 to 20 years, you will prosper. It may happen faster, it may happen slower, but you will prosper, with the possible exception of a devastating calamity hitting your life that we can't control. We can't control tsunamis and cancer. But those kinds of things aside, if you apply these 5 things, the cause and effect, the sowing and the reaping always happens. 100% of the time, and I will go ahead and tell you, these are tough, they're hard, they're easy to understand, they're hard to do, and if you're really smart, you're gonna act like you don't need them. Smart people have the most trouble with this. That's why I was good at it. First one, you have to have a budget. You have to write it down on paper, on purpose, before the month begins. Every dollar has a mission. Every dollar has a name, not sort of kind of in my head, not it's on my iPhone app. Write it down on paper, on purpose, before the month begins. Every dollar has a name, and if you're married, you agree on that with your spouse. Jesus said, don't build a tower without first counting the cost, lest you get halfway up and you're unable to finish, and all who see you begin to mock you and say, this man began to build and was unable to finish. Listen, if you're not going to drive it right, don't put a fish on the back of it. There's a cause and effect thing going on here. Write it down. If you manage money for a company called You Incorporated, and you manage money for You Incorporated the way you manage money for you now, would you fire you? Don't answer that. My friend Zig Ziglar used to say, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit it every time. John Maxwell says a budget is people telling their money what to do instead of wondering where it went. We're going to build a $4 million house. You would have a blueprint, every detail mapped out. Where the plugs are going to go, where the heat and air is going to go, how the roof structure is going to be. Everything is laid out before you break ground. You don't roll up for a $4 million house on the hood of an old boy's truck and go put it over there and kind of make it like this. You'll build a pretzel. Don't do that. You have a blueprint. You have a plan. I run a company with hundreds and hundreds of team members, multiple profit centers within the company. Every one of those folks has a plan for the revenue they're going to produce in this month, this quarter, and this year, and the expenses they're going to spend to do that in this month, this quarter, and this year. Thereby, we do annual projections. It's really not rocket science. It's 6th grade math. What are you going to do with your money? Don't get to the end of the month and go, where'd it go? Because you end up being a rat in a wheel, and you work your whole life. Run, 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 and you get to the end of your life, and there's nothing. And you earned $4 to $10 million in your working lifetime, and you have nothing because you didn't write it down. It's a serious principle. The second one is you got to get out of debt and stay out of debt. Now, everybody knows Dave Ramsey is going to say that. The borrower is slave to the lender. When you don't have any payments, you know what you got? Money. That was hard. I need nothing, but I want a lot of stuff. There's nothing wrong with getting you some nice stuff, but the problem is when your stuff gets you. When you got a student loan that's been around so long you think it's a pet. When MasterCard is your master. When you have discovered bondage or American distress. Well, you can't live without debt. That's what my finance professor said too, and he was broke. What's wrong with that picture? A broke finance professor. Broke finance professor is like a shop teacher with missing fingers. You have kind of a Dr. Phil moment with some of these people. How's that working for you? Because all these people are running around, these quote-unquote experts, and all of them that taught me. I was in the real estate business. We used OPM, other people's money. We were taught leverage and all the sophisticated views of leverage and all this stuff. And I can unpack it for you, and I can pencil whip you. I'm a math nerd. It's what I do. But at the end of the day, there's nowhere in Scripture God used debt to bless His people. It's not in there one time. As a matter of fact, there's not even one positive thing said about it. It's not a salvation issue. It's not a sin. It's not any of those things. Biblically speaking, it's just stupid. The third one, first one is you got to do a budget. Second one is you got to get out of debt. Because if you don't have any payments, you got money. The third one is quality relationships. Now, this is kind of weird, but think about it. Marriage is grand. Divorce is 50 grand. Dysfunction in the family costs you money. Straight up. Crazy parents, drunk brothers, if you let them come into your boundaries, their dysfunction will cause you to be broke because you join in the dysfunction. And we all got it. Anybody doesn't have crazy in their family just hadn't been awake lately. Everybody's got crazy somewhere in the family. Some of it's behind a closet door, some of it's behind over the hill, some of it's around the corner at the still. You don't know where it is, but crazy is in your family. And I'm no exception. I'm from Hills, East Tennessee. When we do crazy, we do it big. So dysfunction and your personal dysfunction. We sadly get to work with the effects of all the dysfunction because we do financial counseling and coaching. And so we've worked for 25 years now with addicts. And I just got to tell you that if you're addicted to something, whatever it is, gambling, pornography, those are the two big ones right now. Huge, just unbelievably huge. And, certainly the old standbys, drugs and alcohol and that kind of stuff. But people that are addicted, 100% of them are eventually broke. And people who stay with them are all 100% eventually broke. That's an extreme example of quality relationships. But Tom Stanley, who wrote the book Millionaire Next Door, did another book called The Millionaire Mind. And in The Millionaire Mind, he studied decamillionaires, people with $10 million or more, making $750,000 a year or more. And he found 39 correlating characteristics of those people. Relationships had something to do with the top 5. The length of their marriage, the quality of their marriage, their integrity, those kinds of things, all having to do with behaviors, having to do with character, having to do with their ability to play well with others. Because guess who gets ahead in this world? Nice people who are generous and love other people. That's who you promote if they work for you. That's who are glad when they get promoted if they work beside you. That's who we want to win. Well, the jerks always win. You watch too much TV. And out here in the real world, the jerks get punished because we don't want to do business with them. Guy comes to my house is a jerk and cusses my wife fixing my heat and air. He doesn't get to fix my heat and air anymore. Hello. Isn't this simple? They throw your food on the table and go, eat it. I'm not going to that restaurant again. This is not service. This is abuse. This person's not getting promoted. Is this how life works? Say yes. So the Bible says evil company corrupts good habits. Your household income, your personal income over a period of time, not instantaneously, but over a period of time will be within 10 to 15% of the average income of your 10 closest friends. You don't let your kids hang out with juvenile delinquents. Why? Because they will become juvenile delinquents. Little Johnny down the street smoking weed, you don't get to run with little Johnny. You will be a weed head too, right? Is this what we parents do that parent? We don't do missionary dating in our house, right? You come up to pick up one of my girls when they were dating in front of our house and you honk your horn, you better be delivering a pizza. Quality relationships changes everything. If you don't let your kids run around with juvenile delinquents because they might become one, who are you running with? You're going to become who you hang around with. Your mouth, your mind. I can tell you the movies you've seen and the books you've read have been influenced by the people you run with. And those affect your income. And those affect the outcome of your personal financial statement. This is stewardship of your life. You're stewarding your life. Number 4, save money. Invest money. Save and invest. The Bible says, in the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all he has. Wise people save money. If you spend everything you make, you're a fool. I have been a fool. According to that, biblically speaking, I have been a fool. Because at times in my life, I spent everything I made. There were times I tried to out-earn my stupidity. Because I'm pretty good at making money, I just wasn't always good at keeping it. Wise people save money. You know, you have to have a plan. And we teach people to save for 3 basic things. The first thing you save for is for a rainy day. Grandma said it, right? It's gonna rain. Better get ready. Money Magazine says 78% of you are gonna have a major negative financial event in any given 10-year period of time. You're gonna have a job layoff, you're gonna have a car wreck, something's gonna happen, and you're gonna need some money. One I don't understand is unexpected pregnancy. What? But something's gonna happen, isn't it? You're gonna need some money. The second thing you save for is you save up and pay cash for things. So when you save up and pay cash for them, guess what? That means you had a plan. That means you'd saved money. That means you had a budget. And that means you don't have any debt because you just pay for it. And this interesting thing happens when you pay for it. You own it. It's over. Transaction's over. Otherwise, we just pedal and pedal and pedal and pedal and pedal. How many of you are like me? You bought something and by the time you finish paying the payments on it, you hated it. Because you just hate this thing. Payment, payment, payment. Sick of it. Save up and pay cash. Weird, Dave. I know. Normal's broke. I don't want to be normal. Weird is my goal. Last thing you save is you save for long-term investing so you can retire with dignity and send your kids to college. Do you know $100 a month invested in a Roth IRA from age 30 to age 70 in a decent growth stock mutual fund averaging 12%? $100 a month. Pizza and cable money, latte breath. $100 per month is $1,176,000. From age 30 to age 70, you retire a millionaire. There's no excuse to retire broke. We just spend it all. We don't have a plan. We don't save. We don't think about who we're hanging around with. We don't play these things in together. So the first one is you got to have a written plan. Second one is you got to get out of debt so all your money's not going to other people. The third one is you got to deal with quality relationships. And the fourth one is you got to save and invest. And the last one's my favorite. And we're going to talk about these at length. People who win with money always are givers. 100% of them are givers. Always. You will not win with money until you learn how to give. 100%. And here's why.
How many of you grew up like I did? Not rich. Now, I'm not theologically or philosophically shallow enough to tell you money will make you happy. Money will not make you happy. You get more money, it will make you more of what you are right now. If you are miserable and you get money, you will be lots of miserable. If you're a jerk and you get money, big jerk. And it'll mess with your family too. So money is not going to solve your problems, it's going to make them bigger. It's also going to make your opportunities bigger. If you're a generous person, your generosity will go into overdrive. You'll be outrageously generous. And you get a lot of money, we'll call you a philanthropist. Cool word that means you give a lot of it away and you have a blast doing it. You found the most fun you'll ever have with money when you find that. So we live in a cause and effect world. What you plant, you will harvest. You will reap what you sow, right? So if you plant stupid, you will get a crop of desperate. I've done it. And if you plant corn, don't be looking for beans to come up. Don't be shocked by because what you put into your life is what you're going to get out. So we found that there's 5 things that if you do these 5 things with money over a period of time, like 10 or 15 years, you will build a level of wealth 100% of the time. And now I said a level of wealth. I don't know what level because I can't predict car wrecks and cancer. I can't predict tragedy. And I don't know what your income will be. But if you're working and you do these 5 things, you will build a level of wealth 100% of the time. And this is not some prosperity thing, and it's not mystical or magical. When I cover these 5 things, they're all common sense. But common sense is so rare now, it's like having a superpower. So let's look at the 5. The first one is get on a budget. A written plan. You have to do a budget on paper, on purpose, before the month begins, every month. If you worked for a company called You Incorporated and you manage money for You Incorporated, the way you manage money for you now, would you fire you? Don't answer that. We misbehave with money, and so we're disorganized. We don't have a plan. Nothing's written down. Decide. The interesting thing about each one of these principles is you can just decide today to do them. I had a guy working for me, and he was not doing his process right, and I sat down, I said, this is what you need to do. And he goes, well, it's not the way I do it. And I said, change. And he said, well, I'm not like you. And I said, change. You can decide today to be good at this or leave. You can decide. You can decide to do a budget today. Get out a yellow pad or go free budget online, everydollar.com. You can decide today. I'm going to start managing money well today, because you're going to keep getting what you've been getting if you keep doing what you've been doing. You know this, right? Sowing and reaping. And the second one is you need to get out of debt. Now, we know this one. You knew Dave Ramsey was going to talk about getting out of debt because you know the Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender. It's real. Now, here's the deal. Think about this. Your most powerful wealth building tool is your income. Let me show you what slavery looks like. This week, they came out with new data that shows that the average car payment in America today, according to the National Auto Dealers Association, is $499. That's dangerously close to $500. You take $500 a month and invest it from age 30 to age 70 in a decent growth stock mutual fund, you'll have $5.6 million. That's what a car payment costs you. So who'd you make rich? General Motors, Ford, Lexus, I don't know, Toyota, who was it? You made somebody rich. It wasn't you. And you're driving along in something you can't afford, scratching your head and wondering why your kid's college fund isn't funded. Because we're giving it all to somebody else. And they have nicer furniture in their building, have you noticed? Something's going on here, guys. You know, and some people in here got a student loan's been around so long you think it's a pet. You got MasterCard in your life. I mean, it's hard to be a slave if you don't have a master, so you might as well. We've discovered bondage and American distress. It just keeps going and going. And I've done it too, y'all. I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying, here's the deal. Think about this. What if you had no payments? Can't even get my head around that. Well, you're always going to have a car payment. You know, I hear people say that. Little man can't get ahead. You're always going to have a car payment, so drive something nice. YOLO. Right? Which, by the way, is addressed in Proverbs. It says fool right after that. See, these are how we talk when we're losing. You know, you can't get ahead. I sure hope we can elect a president who will fix my life. Not going to happen. Neither one of them got the goods, I'll just tell you. You're in charge of your life. It's the only one that's going to work. And that's what changes. So how do you get out of debt? Well, you have to decide to not borrow anymore. That's the first step, isn't it? We had plastic surgery at our house. Had a plastectomy. Decided we're not borrowing money anymore. MasterCard. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Money. You're weird, Dave. You're right. And I'm not broke anymore either. I decided I'm not living like this. I hadn't had a credit card in 30 years. You don't have a credit card? I don't have a credit card. That's my wallet. It's got green presidents' faces. And it's got 4 pieces of plastic in here, 2 debit cards, one on my business, one on my personal account, which will do everything your stupid credit card will do. I travel more than any 2 you put together. Shut up. It works, okay? Dave, you're not getting airline miles. Yeah, I've met a lot of millionaires, and none of them said, Dave, you know, I made it all on my airline miles. I hadn't heard that one, So I got my driver's license and my handgun carry permit. The third thing, once you're out of debt, then you need to be careful to foster high-quality relationships. What's that got to do with money? Everything. There's a huge correlation for those that build wealth and who they hang around with. Because you become who you hang around with. Have you noticed that? You don't let your kids hang around with little juvenile delinquents, right? If little Johnny down the street's a weed head, you don't let your kid run with little Johnny because you know you're going to have a weed head in your house, right? We know this. So they come home with that mouth on them, and you're going, where'd you learn that? I'll get you knocked in the next week in this house. Where'd you think you could get away with that? I'll take you out and make another one look just like you. You know, I mean, you know, it's because they're hanging out with little Johnny, right? You know what happens. We're the same way, y'all. We're the same way. You talk like the people you hang around with. You read the books they talk about. If you don't read and all your friends watch The Bachelor, well, here's a clue. Okay, here's what's going on. If this is all you know about is reality TV that's not a reality, probably we need to change our diet, read a book. And so Charlie Tremendous Jones said 5 years from today, you'll be the same person you are today, except for the books you read and the people you meet. Don't be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. And do you know this? The studies have shown that over a 10-year period of time that your income will become within 10 to 20% of the average of your 10 closest friends' income. Because you have the same habits they've got. You have the same diet into yourself that they've got. You'll have it. You can't stop yourself from doing it. You will become who you hang around with. And all the studies show that we have a tendency. Now, that's not to say I'm some kind of snob and I don't have any friends that aren't rich friends. Not that at all. I have lots of friends, but my closest hangs are people I want to be like. That's my closest ones. Now, I'll talk to anybody. But like when our daughters were growing up, they're grown and married to wonderful men now. But, they're in high school and they're wanting to go on a date. We didn't do missionary dating. You don't get to date little Johnny the weedhead and lead him to Jesus. That's not going to work, okay? We're not doing this. Little Johnny could go to camp and get saved again. We'll work on this, right? And so, You come up to our house, pick up one of our daughters, honk your horn, you better be delivering a pizza, all right? So coming in, talking to the old man, I'll be cleaning my gun when you get home. You know the song, right? And so, this kind of thing. And I'm teaching them, Dad, all the boys in the youth group are scared of you. Good. Keeps away two things you don't want, baby doll. You don't want jerks and you don't want wusses. And if I can keep both those away, and then I can teach you how to keep them away, you can pick good. And guess what? They both picked good. They married studs, man. I got some son-in-law, unbelievable. Man, my sons-in-law are awesome. And it wasn't an accident. You see what I'm saying, y'all? You need to make these choices very, very carefully. The fourth thing is you need to save and invest. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil. Wise people save money. That's what this means. And so it was used in the marketplace, like we use green presidents' faces, as a medium of exchange. If you had a carafe of oil, you were ready to do business. It was a sign of wealth. There were two classes of people, poor people and rich people. Most of the people were poor people. This is the Mediterranean. We're talking they ate hummus and olives, no meat. A little bit of bread, maybe a fish if they got some meat, but that was it. Rich people ate what we eat every day. Spices, good meat, Charleston food scene. You know what I'm saying, right? Cooking it up right. That's fine food. Stores of choice food and oil. Choice food and oil are symbols of wealth. So let's read that again. In the house of the wise are stores of money. By the way, the rest of that one says, and a foolish man devours all he has. If you spend everything you make, the Bible just called you a fool again. I've been a fool. Call me a fool too. And I decided to change. Wise people save money. Why? Well, to start with, we save for an emergency, right? Grandma said it. She said, save for a rainy day. It's going to rain. You're going to have a car wreck. You're going to lose your job. Something's going to happen. You're going to need some money. Dave, you need to be positive. I'm positive. It's going to rain. Something's going to come up. This one I don't understand. Unexpected pregnancy. Say what? Okay. But people come up with all kinds of things that are emergencies, right? Something's going to happen. And then you need to save and invest so you retire with dignity. I'm going to spend everything I make and hope the government, which is well known for its ability to handle money, will take care of me. Dumb idea. I'm not even sure some of them have opposable thumbs up there. You know what I'm saying? It's just ridiculous. And we're counting on them in some whacked out kind of way to come be. They're not coming. There is no white horse. There is no Calvary. You're it, okay? You are in charge of your destiny. And that's great news. And so, all worried about the election, and I'm not worried about the election because I made money under both parties. Turns out it wasn't up to them in either case. I've lost money under both parties. None of them sent me a check. They all just want money. They're extracting like a tick, extracting blood all the time. That's all they do. This is the deal. The last one is all about generosity, but this is all about cheerfulness. Generosity is not just a transfer of funds. Generosity is a spirit where you decide to be a generous person. Generous people are more attractive. They smile. They're not grouchy. It's not all about them. They're the ones that open the door. They're the ones when the grocery bag has the bottom drop out and your groceries are rolling all over the parking lot. They're the ones out there helping you pick it up. These are the people that when they go out to eat, they leave a tip, you cheap and ridiculous. Well, I'm not one. I leave big tips because it's a form of generosity. Well, they didn't give me good service. Oh, shut up. They're carrying a tray that weighs more than you. Figure it out. They parked your car in the rain and in the heat. Shut up. Give them some money. They park your $130,000 car and you give them $3. What are you, a nut? That's Ferris Bueller parking the car there. You take care of that, man. I give them a $20 bill. My car's still sitting there when I come out. It's amazing. Besides that guy's working his way through college or something right then. If he says better than I deserve, that's his code for I'm getting out of debt. If they say that, you got to give them a double tip. So I give them 40. My wife's like, I'm going to park your car. No, you're not. You're not working your way out of college. You've already put up with me for 30 years, so it's all right. Generosity is a spirit. It changes everything in your life. But it's awful tough to give if you're broke. If you're in debt and you hadn't saved any money and you don't have a plan and you're not hanging out with other people who are givers. And so change. You get to decide today. It'll change your life. It'll change your family tree. You will change everyone with your last name that follows you if you do these things. It's that powerful. It's unbelievable. The sorrows are deeper and the joys are higher. It changes everything. And when you move this money piece around, it gives you the tools to be that in the marketplace and to be that for your family and to get this monkey off your back and to get that elephant out of the room because he's got to go. Room.